Hello everyone, welcome back to Monkey Business. Today I'm going to be talking about the 4 P's of marketing in depth, along with some other stuff that you guys might want to know. So to start off, I'm going to be talking about products. So a product could be a good, a service, or an idea that you have. And like before, we know that for marketing, we want to be able to have a product that satisfies a certain need or want. Additionally, a product line is a line of products that have kind of similar characteristics in the sense that they go together. In order to come out with a successful product, we want to be able to have a lot of market research. Market research is going to allow a business to fully understand its product in the sense that it's going to make it a lot easier to market the product and be able to make product modifications a lot easier. Now, talking about product design, there's 2 types of design. So you have form and function. So form is the way that it looks, so like the shape or colors or just like the overall appearance of it. And the function is the actual functionality of it. So it's pretty easy to remember. So this could be, a simple phone. You want to be able to call people. A car, you want to be able to drive from point A to point B. Meanwhile, the form, you might want the new iPhone or you might want the new BMW that came out, that kind of thing. So I'm going to be talking about different types of products. So to start off, you have consumer products or consumer goods, which is basically a product that's used by the end consumer, and then business goods that are just dealt between businesses. So now I'm going to be talking about different types of goods. So to start off, there's convenience goods, which are basically goods that are easily accessible or to shop for. These types of goods are also purchased pretty frequently and they're pretty easily accessible. Then there are types of consumer goods that are called shopping goods. So this is basically where you sort of compare product A and a product B and just sort of look at their form, their function, and their price and just kind of make a general comparison of the 2 products before buying them. Then there's specialty goods where the consumer actually goes out of their way to buy these products, I guess, if they have some sort of extra demand for it or some sort of niche product that they need. And then there's unsought goods, which are basically goods that people don't really care about or don't really know about, so they're kind of forgotten. So now I'm going to be looking at types of business goods. So to start off, production goods are basically goods that are used to create a final product. And now we have support goods, which are basically goods that are used to assist other goods. So maybe like some sort of like tools or equipment. So now I'm going to be talking about price. So to start off, there are certain laws that prevent sellers to fix their price, basically to avoid monopolistic markets where sellers are going to just jack up the price however they want. So there are actual laws that are set in place to regulate this. So to start off, we're going to be talking about price fixing. So this is basically where businesses aren't allowed to set their price however they want. There are some sort of rules and guidelines that they have to follow in order to avoid monopolistic markets. And then there's retail price maintenance, which basically means that one business can't dictate to another business how they should sort of set their price. An example of price fixing could be double ticketing, which is basically where you charge a customer for the same thing twice. So if you say that this hoodie cost $30 and then when you actually go to check out, you say no, it's actually $50, that's sort of double ticketing and that's a form of price fixing. So now I'm going to be talking about price strategies. So to start off, market skimming is where you set your product at a high initial price. And this is typically used to break even quicker. And this is typically because there's little to no competition and your product is at a high price. And then the reciprocal of that pricing strategy would be the market penetration strategy, which is where you set your product price below market equilibrium in order to gain higher market share and then eventually raise your prices to equilibrium and then maybe even above equilibrium once you gain more market share and more brand awareness. And lastly, something that's kind of in the middle of those 2 ideas is competitive pricing. A good example of this could be Coke and Pepsi, where they set their prices very similar to each other's to avoid threat of substitution. A good example of this could be gas stations. So if you look in your local region, you'd notice that gas stations don't really change in price unless you go out of town, like say like an hour drive. Then you notice a little bit of a difference, but even still, it's relatively the same price. Now I'm going to be talking about the promotional mix. So to start off, we have advertising. So advertising is only one aspect of promotion. So this is basically just some sort of like visual representation or some sort of message where you can communicate your product to the consumer. This can include social media, TV, radios, that kind of thing. So now we have brand awareness and positioning, which is basically where you just want to educate and inform your consumers about your brand, your name, and all that kind of thing. So now we have brand trial, which is basically kind of like a free sample or like a free trial where you want to tease your audience and hopefully gain interest and demand so that your consumers will actually buy your product. Next, we have brand preference, which is basically where you prefer a brand over the other. So if you only want to buy a certain type of clothing, a certain type of car, a certain type of phone, that's brand preference. Next, we have brand reminder, which is basically just reminding everyone that your brand still exists. And brand repositioning is a really big one. So this is basically where you want to completely change your perception of your brand. So a really good example is Dove. So Dove was seen as a very feminine product, and now they've completely reworked their brand. So now they have Dove for men. And I'll be honest, I use this to keep my hair in shape. So that's just a good example of brand repositioning. So brand repositioning can also be used to revitalize your product. So if your product is dying and you need to change it, then you can completely change your approach. Maybe take 2 steps back and see what options you have in front of you. So something that I want to talk about quickly is called AIDA. This is basically an abbreviation for attract attention, gain interest, build desire, and get action. So first we have attract attention, which is basically where you want to attract attention for your brand. So this could be done in some sort of like newsprint ad where you can have a catchy headline that draws in your audience. So after this, you want to gain interest. So you want to have something quick, easy to read, and memorable. So anything that's very simplistic but also very psychologically long lasting, where the consumer can be like, oh, I remember that, or something that kind of sticks. So after doing these first 2 steps, now you want to build desire. So this is where you want to increase the demand for your product. By doing this, you want to be able to explain the benefits of your product, explain why consumers want to use your product and why they need it, create a need for your product. So in order to get action, you want to be able to summarize all these steps and communicate that to your audience. So now you want to include your logo, your slogan, and your brand name, and then explain the benefits of your product. Lastly, you want to create an urgency. So this kind of goes hand in hand with the demand for your product. So now you want to say like buy now, and you want to sort of like not force the product onto the consumer, but sort of give them a little bit of a push, like a head start. So the last thing I want to talk about is packaging. So there are different forms of packaging. So you have consolidation, protection, information, brand information, and promotion. So I'm just going to piece these all together for you guys. So to start off, we have consolidation, which is basically keeping your product together and to keep it safe. So for example, if you have something that might break easily, such as glass, you might want to fill with a bubble wrap or some sort of protection, because if you think about its shipping, it's going to break. You know, if it's on some sort of transportation, whether it's overseas or on the truck, it's going to break easily. Next, you have protection, which is where you want to protect it from theft. So whether you have some sort of seal or some sort of protection to be able to avoid that from happening. Next, you want to have information, so explain what your product is, the features of it, that kind of thing. And this is a really big piece of packaging, which is brand identification, which is where you're going to want to tell the consumers what the brand is and just kind of like shove that down their throats, because that's exactly what you want to do. Because if you think about it, and if you watch my last video, you're going to know the importance of consumer experience. So when you open up a package for whatever it is, you want to be able to see the brand, see the logo, see these vibrant colors, so that can leave psychological traces in their brains. And the last piece of this is promotion. So this is known as the silent salesperson. So this last piece is very important as it's a big contributor to the consumer buying process. Anyways guys, there's no more monkey business for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below what I should upload next. And that's all I got for you guys.